Hey YouTube, with this whole issue of Proposition 8, I know I keep apologizing to everybody that I had previously promised videos for. I do plan on doing them. Hopefully when things calm down after the elections, I'll be able to get to it. There's a response to one of my videos by a PurpleNovaX. I'm just going to read his comments initially just so everybody has a background where we're starting from. He says, "Hey Hive, okay, you sound intelligent. You ask why, and that proves it. You refer to history as a marker of social health. History states that gender was the least important role in the health of our society." I don't completely agree with that, but he goes on to explain his view. Community was always the anchor, as for thousands of years, not hundreds like our own culture, males as a whole would be gone for weeks in search of food, leaving the females in total charge of the upbringing and therefore the social values of all children. Now let's look at gender roles played by males and females, as the roles are what is in essence the influence you mention. History states that transgender people were accepted and respected role models. People born with a penis were not considered male, and vice versa for females. The role you played determined your gender, yet still all male genders would do battle and hunt, including the males with vaginas. Are you following me so far? These cultures I mentioned are the ones from the start of time. The culture we know and are aware of today is very different. It is mainly a culture derived from Christianity, be it Catholic or Protestant, and its many derivatives and denominations. The very country you live in has laws and regulations drawn up using this belief as a base. We now know that there are many religions and none are more right than others. That is why they are called beliefs. Now in the matter of same-sex, in history your physical sexual characteristics have never been the determining factor of the gender role you promote or identify and act. This is a modern and redefined concept, 2,000 odd years out of 10,000. And is based on the Adam and Eve model. This is a belief and not something to use as a determining factor when judging someone else's freedoms. That would be imposing your beliefs upon someone else, and that is opposition, right? The day after. Now let me state here, before going further, PurpleNovaX, the reason I didn't respond to you right off the bat when you posted was because it was a rather long answer. And I wanted to take the time to give an adequate response. I was originally going to try to do it by the comment section, but I decided just to come on and give a video response to you. Anyway, PurpleNovaX the next day said, "I'll be happy to chat with you further on this. I know where you're coming from. I tackled the same concept for many years. I know and understand that not only does a penis not dictate your gender, but the concept that we live in a house with a mom with a vagina and a dad with a penis and are supposed to have certain conditions for social health is a modern and dangerous concept, as it defines an ultimate or stereotype. Hive, family has never been about gender, it's been about acceptance." And then today, about 37 minutes ago, he says, "Actually, Hive, maybe you're not intelligent at all. Maybe you just asked this question to lure a few people in so you could preach your way. Intelligence requires you to see both sides, and so far you seem quite blinded." Okay, let's start off here, PurpleNovaX, with your premise here. You mentioned, you say, you refer to history as a marker of social health. And then you go on to say that history states that gender was the least important role in the health of society. You then talk about how community is important. Then you say that males would be gone for weeks at a time hunting food, females would be at home in total charge of the upbringing, and therefore the social values of all children. There's a bit of an issue with that, the discrepancy between what you're saying. You say community matters, but then you posit the foundation of community as the genesis of community or culture as being something divided along gender lines. Now, granted, you qualify this and you go on to say that these are gender roles and that the actual physical apparatus, the genetics, The anatomy of the people didn't matter because they just fell into these roles. And I'm presuming by falling into these roles, that's where the community came out of. And I'm still having a hard time seeing how you're disconnecting the raw biology. And anyway, but then you go on and say these cultures I mentioned are the ones from the start of time. The interesting thing about that, though, is we really don't have a very good history of cultures from the start of time. And let me mention why I say that and what exactly I mean. I mean, we have certain things that we can pull from prehistory, from before the written word, and we can extract relative to what we have, to the remnants that are left. We can extract a lot of information. But the amount of that information and what we can extract and what we know definitively from that information relative to what composes a culture, even a hunter-gatherer culture, is very, very, very limited. It's extremely limited. And so to make a reference to these cultures from the start of time is a little tough, because, I mean, where are you deriving this from? Are these just assumptions, outgrowth of theories on emotional and biological and just all these evolutionary theory things put together, and you extrapolate out of that what you believe those cultures existed of? Are we going off the assumption that hunter-gatherer societies that we've run into now are good depictions of the culture that either existed or predominated or actually led to societal advancement to the point we're at? Because I need to point something out too. It's important to realize that it's not simply demonstrating the existence of something in human history or culture, or even the persistence of an element, but it's demonstrating that that element's persistence and that element's existence are tied to better enabling whatever entity it's tied into with its own self-perpetuation, and that the elements themselves are the things that are enabling their own perpetuation. So if we're talking about ideas, memetics, culture, that the culture is culture because it's transmitting itself. It's not culture simply because it's something, just an innate outcome of our nature, from our genetics. And if it is something from our genetics, then that would be tied to genetic evolution and wouldn't be cultural. But so it's demonstrating not merely that a society existed in which the gender of the individual and of the individual's body, of the actual genetics and sexual organs and everything. It's not simply demonstrating that those aspects were disconnected for some people at certain points, or that the gender roles intermixed. Simply demonstrating that that existed in the past is not demonstrating that it was selected for. Because you can have all sorts of, in biology or memetics, you can have ideas that will pop up again independent of the fact that they existed in the past. They'll just simply pop up because that's what happens, but not because they're actually self-perpetuating, not because they are actually fit, simply because that's what happens when you're talking about natural selections, as things will pop up. Sometimes they'll die off, and sometimes a new combination of things will produce a similar or the same result, and it will manifest itself again. And so, again, simply demonstrating something existed in the past, and even demonstrating that it existed several times in the past, is not an indicator of whether it is fit or whether it is best for the advancement of society. And that will tie in to your statements regarding belief and the dangerousness of imposing someone's belief. So you go on to